Today we had a meetup for Google Summer of Code aspirants at Coding Blocks, and with me right now I have one of the speakers, Harshit. So Harshit has participated under Google Summer of Code 2016 under the FOSS Asia organization. So first of all, I would like to ask you, so what was your experience being part of Google Summer of Code this time?
Okay, so as far as the experience goes, it was definitely a great experience. Okay, because like I think that Google Summer of Code helped me become a better Android developer, because I was a developer before participating in GSOC, but GSOC taught me few things that I couldn't have learned otherwise. Like that was working in a large team, okay, which is global. So one of my teammates was from Berlin, another was from Poland. So I got to work in a global team of people. Second one was I had to maintain a large code base, which I hadn't done previously. Okay, so writing code is one thing, but along with the writing code, you have to ensure that the code that you are writing won't break the whole software in general, because people are actually using it. The project is actually live. So in case you are writing a bad piece of code that is affecting your whole software. So those two things were the main key that I learned while participating in GSOC.
That's nice to hear. As a larger advice, so Google Summer of Code is a program where people are participating in open source software. So what would you say are the advantages of being part of open source projects, working with other open source developers?
Okay, so programs like GSOC are definitely a good reason to participate in open source. But other than that, you get to work with a great developers. Like for example, my mentor with FOSS Asia, he's the creator of Ubuntu, which is a distro based out of Ubuntu. Okay, so like working with the people who have done such great things in the life definitely teaches you one or two things that you won't be able to learn otherwise. Also, you get the feeling that the thing that you are doing actually is benefiting the society and the community as a whole. So that self satisfaction, that's a plus according to me.
Okay, so one final question in this event as well, and as such, say for example, even at Coding Blocks, we are getting a lot of aspiring software developers, budding computer science students who are pursuing computer science, thinking they will become big software developers someday. So, any piece of advice you have for people who are joining the software development industry, people who are students right now?
Yeah, sure. The single advice that I would like to give those people is you should code more and read less. Okay, because if you want to learn a new technology, there will be thousands of guides and tutorials online. So my suggestion is, instead of following those guides, you should just directly jump into the code and see as to what the code is doing. Okay, rather than listening to someone else teaching things, you should by yourself. Doing that is a good thing. You should definitely follow some guides and all, but if you are coding by yourself, then you will get the whole gist of what is happening in the code. Okay, and once you are able to read a good code, then you will definitely become a good coder as the time passes on.
Okay, and one last thing, very small answer. What are some of the new technologies you would suggest people to start learning these days?
Okay, first thing is Realm. Okay, for database. For example, we have been using SQLite and SQL for a long time now. So I would suggest people to have a look at Realm. Okay, it's a NoSQL database, so you can store objects in your database rather than creating tables and all. So that's a good thing that you should have a look at. RX Java is another thing, reactive programming, that you should have a look at for Android developers mainly. Okay, another thing for Android, I'd suggest is start programming via Kotlin rather than programming via Java. You should definitely have a look at Kotlin. It's easier. It does your work in a few lines of code, and it's easier to maintain also. So,
okay, thank you so much, Harshit, for your insight and the message.
Okay.